easy, immediate fix, a silver bullet, a magic pill to make the problem and the pain go away. Since there is no such thing, here's what people do next. They start by asking people what they should do. People have the lowest common denominator for a solution. Their answer is their opinion. The moment you ask anybody for answers about what you should do about your problem, they become an expert in your situation. If they were an expert, they would have noticed your situation a long time ago. If they cared and were good at what they did, they would have helped you discover the solution already. Helping someone requires that you take the time and attention to help them examine their problem, so they can see for themselves what they need to do. Giving unproven opinions about what to do is not only doing them a disservice, but far from a solution. Next is asking so-called professionals for their opinions. By the fact that they are accredited as an expert, you assume their opinions must be of a higher quality than your friends and family, giving them artificial credibility. No solution there either. Now that you realize no one has the answers, you start to panic and wonder if anyone has the solution to your problem. What you will discover is that nobody in this world has the answer or solution for you. As your guides, we have always had the solutions to the predicaments of life that you get yourself into. First, you must take responsibility for your situation and stop blaming others. This is the first step and the most difficult one. You think to yourself, how is it that I could have caused this situation to occur? You know that you are smarter than that. But it's not about being smart. It's about being honest and accepting of your situation before you can take action with our guidance to change it. With our help, you will be able to balance out the energy in your life that is causing you stress, pain, struggle, and imbalance in your energy. All you must do is ask us first. Summary. All negative situations you find yourself in stem from energy imbalances. The first thing you do is ask others for help when we were there all along. Once you discover that we can help you rebalance the energy in your life so you can move forward without stress, will your life come back into balance. How it works. Getting answers or solutions to your problems can't be found out there. Nobody out there knows what to do either. The ones who bypass this time waster of looking for it out there have no other place to go but within. That's where your guides are. In this somewhat lucid, lightning fast state of inner knowing and awareness, you will instantly know what to do, but you must write it down the instant it comes through, or it will dissipate into thin air and it will be lost forever. The more you follow this suggestion, the less power outside influences will have over you. You will be living in two worlds simultaneously. You will be connected. This is where your true power resides.
Very good.
All right. So that's what we are talking about today. And that's what, if you have questions or comments that you'd like to discuss about this with your guides, with us, this would be the time to bring those up. So if you want to leave questions in the Q&A box at the bottom of the Zoom page, then go ahead and do that. Or Ray, did you open the mic?
I certainly did. Hi, Kathy.
We have.
Hi, how are you?
Hi,
We
Kathy.
can't hear you, Kathy.
Go like this, Ray.
Is that better? No? Hold on. How about that? Can you hear me now? Still can't hear me?
There, we unmuted you.
Okay, it says mute on my side.
Oh, we're not getting any. Hold on. Try it again.
Okay. What happens is this pigtail is supposed to be plugged in.
In the green.
Yeah, you got it plugged in wrong. This is the pigtail.
Okay,
That's the
well,
one
that's-
end, and this is the other end right here.
Hmm.
So that gets, hold on, Ray.
This goes here.
Oh, it goes there. Okay.
Yep, not in there.
Yep.
Now, can you hear me?
Wow. That's what was wrong earlier, Ray.
Yes, it's right. It's backwards. It was the audio engineer's mistake here.
Uh-oh,
I
uh-oh.
think
Please.
I would learn
There's a lot of pieces to this.
which is
And
the green hole, which is the other hole.
Yeah. So, Kathy, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. How about you guys?
We are doing great.
Did you get a haircut?
No?
No? It looks different.
I watched it.
You washed it, Ray. All right. So, Kathy, did you get Linda's weekly guided insights today? Insight?
I did. I found out where it was going to my spam folder for some reason.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes it'll do that. Just whitelist it. You know, if you say approves this sender, always approve the sender. You know how to do that, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. And then it'll come straight to you. Yeah.
Okay.
So what questions do you have around this insight today?
Well, I have started learning how to listen more.
Yeah.
For my guidance. I guess my question would be, when I'm dowsing, I am starting to get the answer before they even start spelling. My
Right.
question is that my ego or is that my intuition?
Okay. Now, just in the future, when you get the answer, have you been using your journal? Have you been writing in it?
Yes.
Okay. You're going to see that it show up in here too.
Okay.
It shows up here just as easily and commonly as it shows up when you're working with some kind of modality. All right. Let's say your pendulum. You're using your pendulum, right?
Right.
Okay. Okay. Now, if I remember right, I'm just going to go back to an earlier session where they talked with you about this, and they said something about
Ask why questions.
Oh, I know what it was. They said, don't ask yes or no questions. That's what they asked you.
Yes.
Okay. So they wanted to break you from doing that.
Yes.
How's that going?
Good.
Okay. So that's a step in the right direction. Now that you're not just relying on that quick yes or no answer, it's kind of a cheap shot. I mean, in the middle of your session with your guides, if they happen to come through and hit the yes or the no, then that wasn't it. That was just part of their communication to you. It was inside a sentence that included that word,
Okay.
but it wasn't just, beginning and ending. And that was the only thing they said was a yes or a no. So
Okay.
it's always that way. So what you're doing when you do that, it gives you less room to cheat.
Right. Right.
You can't cheat as much because it takes. Now you have to put some effort into it. Okay, so
Yeah,
let's see.
reframe my questions so that they're not
Leading.
I've started to ask a question and I thought, no, that's yes or no. So I reframe it so that it's not a yes or no, but still
Right.
a question.
Open-ended.
Yeah.
Right, and it's not leading. And if you catch yourself, here's another thing with this, Kathy. if you catch yourself writing questions down that go that way, that are leading, that you could already see you have your mind made up, or you're already invested in the answer.
Right.
If you catch yourself doing that, you catch it. You catch it right there. You don't have to get into the middle of a session where it took you 15 minutes to get an answer, okay, that you're still not sure if it's coming from you or them. If you see that you're leading it right from the start, the fact that you wrote it down gives you the history. Now you've got it documented, dated, documented in chronological order in your journal, so that you can watch your progress, because you will outgrow that. You will stop doing that. You really will. But you can't stop doing something you can't see you're doing in the first place.
Right.
Yeah. So that's all it is. And after a while, you're going to move right through it. You're going to go, I'm not going to waste my time doing that. And they don't need their time wasted, putting up with that. I love this whole thing. It makes you raise the bar in your life.
Yes.
You can't get away with that anymore, And remember something else. When you needed answers, when your husband got sick, like 7 months ago,
right?
When that happened, you were able to access this part of you that got you through that really well. You just knew. You knew he was going to be okay.
Yes.
All right. So when you need to step into action and it's an emergency, you know how to do it.
Yes.
So you're really there more than you think you are. And if you can do that, then if you can master it when you're not under pressure like that, you will just be flowing all the time instead of being knocked around with your emotions and your energy, So just keep that in mind. Okay, Ray. So how are we? Are we okay over there, Ray?
I'm going to adjust the screen so I can see more.
Okay, so Ray's taking care of the Facebook part of this. There's a lot of pieces to this, I'm telling you.
Right.
Yeah. And after we went through that one day, we are really a lot more cautious about everything to really do our best to ensure that never, ever happens again.
That was a learning experience.
That there's a lot to it.
Yeah, okay. You either get an experience or a lesson.
Yeah. We got both on that one.
Yeah.
We did.
A little bit of both.
You got to roll with this stuff. You can't let stuff just freak you out so much that it shuts you down, right?
Right, exactly.
Right. Okay, so we moved through it. All right. So Kathy, what was your question around today's topic, today's insight today? Again, what was it?
When I ask the question and the answer comes to my mind before they start spelling, is that my intuition or is that my ego?
Okay, and they're going to talk to you about that. Here they go.
It could be either if you don't know how to ask a follow-up question. When you think you get an answer from us, write it down, look at it, think about it, and then ask us why this answer was important for you at this time in your life.
So take the answer you get and ask a question around it to get in there deeper so you can see for yourself.
Understand it more. Okay.
Because if it was coming from her...
You're not coming from doubt. Here's what you're not doing. You're not coming from doubting them. You're coming from just making sure that, because you're just beginning to do this, intentionally, consciously. Mm-hmm. And the fact that you're doing that, you want to make sure you're going in the right direction. And there'll be times, Kathy, when you will fall back into, desiring a certain outcome. It's just, we've been doing it for so long, we forget we're doing it,
Yeah.
So just be patient with the process. Whatever you do, document it as you move through it, date it, keep it in order, and watch the progress. if you're steadfast and true and you continue to do that as you work with your guides, that those 15 minutes a day when you have your meeting with them, and you just let that information come through. Some days you might take this and go, not today, I'm not going to use my talking board. I'm going to open my journal and I'm going to write. Because when you do your writing, you, believe it or not, you have this connection to your guide. Your guides have more access to you. It's easier for them to infiltrate what you're writing and reach you.
Okay.
Because their whole job is to reach us, because they know everything about you. They know what you want to do. They know why you're here and everything. So they use every opportunity. All you have to do is open the door for that opportunity to show up. So they have a place to go and work with you. Okay. So think about it like you're writing and you've got your team all around you, you know, working with you and letting it flow. Like you said, the information comes through now, even before your pendulum labors through the process. Okay. So if that's happening, move over to your journal.
Okay.
And start doing the writing, because you're ready to do that now.
Okay. Great.
Yeah.
Great. Something very interesting happened. You know, I couldn't be here last Thursday night because I was having some of my spiritual group over to my house.
Yeah.
And we were doing a Reiki circle, and one of my friends told me that she got a message every time somebody went into the circle. And my message was that I needed somebody to hold my hand. And then I saw your message yesterday on Facebook that we all need somebody to hold our hand.
Oh, God.
I thought that was very interesting.
Oops,
hold on. We didn't lose it.
Yeah, that is interesting. In other words, there's no coincidences. And
Right.
when you're in the flow, when you're in sync, and you're going, you know, you're going pretty true to north. You're following that guidance. It'll just be there. Everything becomes easy. That's why I always talk about when you follow your guidance, the struggle does stop.
Yes.
So that's what you're doing. You're following your guidance. It gets to be so natural that you don't even know that's what you're doing anymore. It's just, you're in the flow. You're connected. You got it. You're doing the work. You're writing it down. You're co-creating with your guides is what you're doing. And you're spending that 15 minutes consciously working at this subtle energy connection, because although it's really powerful, it's really subtle.
Right.
Yeah. So as you move through it, like right now, when Ray and I do, when we work with the guides and we channel the information, it's so natural for us. It's whatever was an effort before. Here's what will happen. You'll forget it was ever an effort. And when somebody works with you, when you are with somebody else and you're working together with them, they'll struggle, and you'll look at that and go, oh, not a problem. Just here, come over with me. I'll get you through that in 5 minutes. I'll get you right over that. Because whatever that is, that's just residue from all your doubt and all your, insecurities and all the things that you didn't know what it was, what to call it, all the things that people would think of you, and all this kind of stuff that just junks it all up, gets in the way, and really waste your time,
Right.
Okay, we have Nina over here on Facebook. Nina, Mona, Bridget, and Veronica. Now, if any of you four want to join us on Zoom, go to your...
Can they hear you?
Yeah, they can hear me.
Yeah, they can
hear me.
Yeah.
But go to your email this morning.
That you got for
Right.
Linda's Weekly Guided Insight.
And click the link.
And your access, your link to get in is right there for the Zoom link.
Because we can't broadcast it anymore on Facebook.
We can't broadcast it because we had some people infiltrate one of our webinar sessions, and it was awful. And so we have to really protect the session, all right? We have our guard up, all right? But you guys are great, and we want you in. So do what Ray just said. Yeah. Okay, because Kathy has us all to herself.
Well, Ray's here. Let us see. There's Ray Holly in here too.
But you don't have questions.
I do.
Oh my gosh. You have questions. Okay.
I don't have all the answers. I have more questions than answers. Okay, my first question was, you read today's insight, and they said taking responsibility is for the situation is the first thing you have to do.
Right, right.
So my question is, why is it so difficult for people to take responsibility for the situation?
Let's let the guides answer that. And here they go.
People shy away from taking responsibility for most any situation. They find it easier if they blame someone else for the situation, then they can justify they don't have a problem.
So that means that people have a hard time with change.
Yes.
So to take responsibility usually requires some kind of, we're not always true north. In fact, once in a while we call it the zone when we are true north, when we really are right where we should be, okay? But many times we're off just a tad over here or a tad. Maybe we're way off sometimes, depending on the situation. And it's just hard sometimes to accept our part in it.
Yes.
Something like that. So again, that has to do with writing it down. You got to write it down. When we catch ourselves at these things, in the beginning, you're going to catch yourself doing more of the things you don't want to do than the things you do want to do. But the way you're going to find that you're going to catch yourself doing more of the things you do want to do and you're proud of is by writing it down, so you can then identify what it is you don't want to do that you've been doing. And then once you have it on paper, you can go, you can look back at it in a day, in a week, in a month from now and go, okay, I got this. I don't want to do that. How did I pick it up? I picked it up a long time ago. I picked it up when I was married to that other person, and they kind of messed me up, and I'm still a little angry about it. I'm still traumatized about it or whatever. And it's still kind of rubbing me the wrong way. But now that I can look at it out here, I can beat this thing.
Yes.
So that's how we do it. That's the answer to your question. You have another question.
Well, no, it's just easy for people to blame others.
Well, yeah.
Well, then they don't think they have a problem, but the problem's still there.
So why does that make you mad?
Well, maybe I was married to people like that.
So when are you going to get over it? When are you going to get over it?
I hope soon.
Okay. So that's the whole point. We drag it around like dead weight, like we're dragging a leg, And Ray still does have a little edge there, not near as much as he used to. But
the bleeding has stopped, but the scars are still there.
Ray, that's to remind you.
Look who joined us.
Who do we have there? Who is
Veronica?
Is that for? Get out of here!
Hi.
Are you in your car?
I'm in my car. Yeah.
She looks like a little kid. She does. She looks like a little kid with that hat on.
Are you living in your car now?
No, she's not.
No, not exactly. No.
She finished it. What she did is Veronica was in the middle of her day, and she interrupted it just to be with us, Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
And Veronica, by the way, we're going to be live this Thursday on Ask the Universal Channel Group. So be sure to try to catch us on that if you can.
Oh, okay. I'd love to.
Yeah, if you can.
Yeah,
okay.
Thanks.
So we're talking about today
I think she heard most of it. Did you hear a lot of it on Facebook?
Yeah.
Okay, good. She knows where we're at then. This is about
problems versus solutions.
Right. Your guides, and the way that needs to really be worded is your guides focus on the solution and not the problem. So when you come to your guides, you come to them with, oh my God, what should I do? This happened. this just happened. What do I do now? So you're coming to them with your problem. And they never look at it as a problem. They look at that and they look at that like, okay. They never feel intimidated by it, defeated by it, overwhelmed by it. They look at it like, okay, that's something that we have a solution for. They don't have an opinion about it. They don't give you their opinion. That's never what the guides will do. If you ever get an opinion from your guides or guides, that's not your guides, because it's like your guides telling you what to do. They never tell you what to do. They also never teach you anything. You become self-realized from deciding to act on their guidance or not. You have free will. So it's all about you and how you start to manage yourself differently. All right. So you might think you have a problem, but if you go at it and you go, okay, I have this situation that I'm looking for a solution, and I know there's a solution, and I'm going to find the bloody thing, you know? That's the right energy to come to your guides. They're like, okay, yeah, we're on the same page on this thing, you know? And we like how these guys are asking this question. They've come a long way since we talked with them last time, or in a month, or in a year, you know? So think about it like that. A lot of things that we do here on the planet are backwards. But we learned it. It didn't come from us. We were trained to think like that. Well, turns out that that's not the highest way to deal with life, you know. That's kind of a self-defeating way of dealing with life. Oh, I have a problem. Oh my God. You know, it's based in fear, you guys, is what it's based in. We got to step away from that and go, you know, the minute I feel myself moving back into that, I do it automatically because I've been raised on this stuff, you know, everybody. Yeah. And how do I break the pattern and choose the high road and act from that and be the example in doing it that way? People will notice. It's subtle, but they will notice, because all of a sudden you come from a can-do mentality. You're never defeated. How is that, Veronica? That you are never defeated. You know, that kind of. Kathy, right. Kathy, how is it, Kathy, that you don't ever doubt yourself or worry about anything? All right, you guys. So this is. I
hear you. I just want to share that in the process of going from, oh my God, I have a problem, to, what's the solution? There's a little gap in the middle there that I have been kind of messing with, where I just like take a breath and just let go, because it's so interesting just being right there in the middle and then just going, I don't know, but it's going to work out. And then a solution does come, and it's nothing that I could have thought of.
That's guidance.
Yeah.
That is what it is. And you know, go ahead, Veronica. You're on the right path.
Yeah, I'm messing around with that right now, so to speak, and it's almost like miraculous, because my problematic thinking is like kind of going to, well, this might be impossible, only maybe a little bit more emotional. Right. And then I let that go, and solutions appear. So
now here's another thing about that, you guys. What Veronica just talked about. Awesome, Veronica, because that's right. Is when you come from a solution mentality, you do recognize that something needs to be solved, okay? But you come at it with the solution mentality. What you did when you did that is you aligned with your guides, because that is their mindset. So when you make that connection, that's called a connection, all right? You're more like your guides now. You're not separate from them anymore with all this fear and, oh, I got to fix it. Ouch. You know, and all this aggravation and, you know, all this. But what if it doesn't work? And all these negative thoughts. The whole world has filled up with that. All right. We need to lead up with something that makes some sense now. You know, I mean, please. People make way more of things than they should. It's just like so overblown. But it seems like that's the only thing that people are drawn to, or the news wouldn't be so popular. It's negative stuff. And we're just drawn into it. You go down in the checkout outline at this grocery store, and that's all you see all over the wall when you at that stand when you go to check out, where it's all that, you know.
Where you catch up with the Kardashians, what they're doing?
Yes.
Right there?
Ray is so smart. He gets this. So the minute we dive into that, we indulge in any of that, we take all that hard work that concentrated energy, that consciousness that we've been working on, deliberately defining, identifying, and connecting with, and we crunch it up in a big ball and we throw it right in the garbage.
Yes.
So the minute we get sucked into that, oh man, you know, Ray will bring it up. Ray will be the first one that talks this stuff, and he'll do it. He's joking sometimes, but sometimes he's not. I'm going, Ray, you're getting sucked in again. Stop it, you know?
Sometimes you can't tell the difference.
And it sounds funny. I mean, that's funny, but it's horrible what it does to the person.
Yes.
I have a question. They said in the opening that every problem already has a solution or it wouldn't exist.
Right.
How's that happen?
Okay, let's let them answer that question. I know the answer to that question, but we're going to let them right here, Ray. You asked it. Now you're going to get the answer right now.
Either one could not exist without the other. It's all because they are energy. It's like Einstein said, for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction.
Right. So there really is no problem. There's always a solution. Here's something that drives me nuts. For example, Ray will be the first one to tell you about this one. All right, this is my Achilles heel. I'll say, okay, what about this idea, Ray? What about this? You know, because I'm the one that does that, right? I jump out of the shower, I get this insight. It's like, wow, you know, and I share it with Ray. And Ray will be the one that sits there, and he is the critic. And he's the one that says, well, we can't do that because, and I'm going, the minute he says it, we can't do that.
The veins on her neck pop out.
I cannot accept it. I can't accept defeat. Now, if I go back, my guided journey, chapter or part 2, the journey, right? You guys know about that. If I go back into my early life, I know exactly when that started. I know exactly. It's writing guided. I wrote about it. I wouldn't have known it if I hadn't written this book. I wrote this book, and then I reflected back on it's. In fact, I've got trailers that Veronica, I know that you know about, the Reflections on Guided, where I learned things I didn't know I'd learned after I wrote the book. So that's why writing in your journal and documenting all this, critical, absolutely critical. It keeps you from sliding back. It lets you see where that comes from. You got to know where it comes from. So when I get on Ray and I go, what do you mean we can't do it? I mean, what? Okay. So because you see, he was raised in a Catholic upbringing.
That's it.
And he was restricted like a choker chain on his neck. You know.
Oh, you can't do that.
Right.
You can't ever do that.
Right. All the rules, right? And all the real strict nuns and everything. So they have that upbringing, because he didn't get out of that until he was out of high school, was so intense and so, you know, it permeated in him so much that he knows, now he's aware of it, but his knee-jerk reaction is to say, we can't do it.
I have a response. I'm not going to say that anymore. We can't do it. I'm going to say we could do that if we can find a way to fix this.
I love
and
that.
then find a way to do that.
Okay.
And then find a way to do that.
Okay.
And once you have to look at all those things you have to do before you can do that, then you have to make a decision whether it's worth your time or money.
Perfect. I love that.
Okay.
Okay. If someone talks to me like that, my reasoning is sharp. I'm with it. I love that. And it may turn out that, you know what, that's going to take too much to make it happen. All right.
There's only there's two of us here, and we do everything.
Right. But it may also be that it may not be the answer, but it leads you to the answer.
Right.
Okay. By exploring it the way Ray just talked about. So that is where it's at. And going back to what is it, Linda, that causes you to kind of flip out when somebody says you can't do it? All right, because there's nothing I can't do, you guys. I mean, nothing, you know. I'm like that, right? So I remember when I was a kid and how my family, they really tried to defeat me. That might be the way I need to describe it in a general way. All right. And I was constantly being, I was being pushed out of all kinds of stuff. And I had no value in that family, basically. So in a situation like that, it's no wonder that I just flipped that switch. It's like, I had that my whole life as a child. I can't take another second of it in my life. So, I recognize it, but it's still there. Boy, that one almost took me out. That was a tough one for me. That felt like prison to me. So that was so intense that I don't think it's a bad thing. That's what I think. I think when I come across something like what Ray just said, I love this guy. Because he gets it. He gets it. He put it together. He found a solution right here, in this webinar. And that is solution-based thinking. Whether it turns out to be yes or no, it's still solution-based thinking. That is the only thing I can relate to.
That's the big if word. That's like life will get better for you as you get older if you can make it through childhood.
So how does that apply to this, Ray?
Well, we could do that if we make it through this problem, that problem. You can solve these 3 or 4 things, then you might be able to do that.
And then does it make sense?
Well, then you determine if it makes sense by how much time that's going to take.
And money and
money,
resources.
It always takes
resources.
It takes resources.
Yeah.
So it can be done, but is it worth doing?
Right.
I mean, you'd need 3 people to help you do that.
I mean, it might be something that's so hard to overcome to do it.
Right.
Or it might be premature. It might be a great idea. Write it down. Okay, because it might be something that you're primed for in a year from now.
Mm-hmm.
You might have more information a year from now.
You might be positioned better in a year from now.
You might have more money a year from now.
You might meet the right people in a year from now.
Mm-hmm.
The universe does answer your request.
Mm-hmm. And even if we can't think of what the specifics are in our thinking mind, in our current state, if you suspend that, well, something will come up because it's going to be a solution, then the thoughts even can come, I find, or the answer can come.
Because
right?
your mind opened.
Yeah.
If there's an answer, if there's a solution for every problem, and it already exists when you first encounter the problem, then you just have to be open to encounter the solution.
And don't let yourself get burdened down with the challenge.
Right.
It's not a burden. It's not to inconvenience you. It's to challenge you. You become the person it takes to have it.
It's to help you grow.
What's that, Kathy?
It is to help you grow.
Yes.
The challenges are to help us grow.
Yeah, if you were to have it right now, you wouldn't be prepared. whatever that was. If it was overwhelming to have it now, if you did the work Ray said, if you did the analysis and said, oh, it just seems like, we're just a little premature, or maybe it's just not meant to be, but don't close the door on it. Just write it down in your journal, make a note of it, keep the dots connecting, keep the journal going, and watch your progress. Identify your progress, because if you don't write it down, if you haven't identified it and written it down, it's just like last week when I talked about the book, when the guides in their session, when I read the insight, they talked about, if you don't write it down, it's like getting a book where there's missing chapters in your book. So, you go back to your journal and you start to connect the dots, but you go, oh yeah, I took a week off and I missed 4 days over here, and you got a lot of holes in your book. So all of a sudden, when you try to piece your life together and refer back using this as a guideline to bring you into consciousness, you can't do it because you've got holes in the plan,
It's like the missing years.
Yeah.
The ones you can't remember.
So what was that, Kathy?
I have found that if I get too busy and I miss a day, it's like a big hole. I miss it so much.
That's good. That's good.
That's good.
You're connecting with, that's guidance, letting you know how important it is for you to stay with this. 15 minutes a day. I was telling Kathy, 15 minutes a day working with your talking board, and or 15 minutes a day working with your journal. And I got to tell you, this is really important. Because when you work with your guides, you're working with the energy. That's good. That's important. But when you're writing in your journal, you're working with the energy. It's the same thing, except now you've identified it. You've brought it out of the ethers and into this world.
Good stuff.
I had another insight as everybody was talking.
He's good. Isn't he good, you guys? He's good.
I'm on a roll. Suppose you didn't use the word problem. So I'm thinking about what other words could you use instead of problem?
Perfect.
Situation.
Right.
Doesn't sound as bad as a problem.
That's right.
Issue.
Right.
Experience. I had a tough experience. Event.
Right.
Situation.
Actually, this is more true about what happened than the problem. The problem is the part of you that feels overwhelmed, and then it becomes a problem in your head.
Right.
It's defeating you.
Yeah.
Okay, so the problem, that word problem has to be taken off the table.
That's a problem.
That is a problem.
Challenge. That's another one.
Right.
Challenge doesn't sound.
It's the truth.
That's right.
It's not what it sounds like.
It's not a problem.
It gets back to the core truth about what's really going on and what life is really presenting you with. Not a problem. No.
It's an opportunity.
Exactly. It is. All of them are opportunities.
That's right. It's an opportunity.
They're not all the same. Some are more. Some take longer to solve. Some hit you faster. Some they hit you in all these different ways to test you, to make sure that you're solid on your feet with this life that you're in, and that you can live the life you came here. You don't get frozen up because you made it into a problem.
You look out in the backyard and you see the backyard's flooded, and you realize that you have a problem with the irrigation system.
A problem?
It becomes an opportunity to learn how to dig up the yard and fix an irrigation system.
Yeah. Then you have to ask yourself, what did I get myself? The bigger thing going on here. Like, did I really need all this?
Did you really need that bigger?
We got ourselves in every single thing. We got ourselves in it. We picked it. We chose it.
Yeah.
We chose it without thinking through the consequences. All right?
Mm-hmm.
You see? So that's another reason. When you want something, write it down, because with it comes consequences. Are you up for those consequences? Does your life have room in it for those consequences?
Right.
You know,
Everything has consequences, good and bad.
yeah.
Right.
Good things have consequences, and difficult things have consequences, but they all do. There's always something, you know. I know here's one that comes from my perspective. Is I've been around a lot of difficult people in my life, and I thought, well, maybe, how do I manage this? How do I solve this once and for all? And I thought, just knock them all out. Just get rid of them all. I don't have to worry about disappointing them, making them mad, because I tend to be the person that around mindless people, unconscious people, I set them off, because I just, I say it like it is. I see it like it is, so I say it like I see it. And that rubs them really wrong, you guys, okay? So I thought,
I know.
yeah. And so how do you get around this? How do you deal with this? How do you find your resolve with it? And I thought to myself, okay, we all come into this life equal. We all come into this life having, no matter what we do, we have to face the consequences. So I'm just concerned about doing something that's going to cause a rift in somebody else's life. And I don't want to do that. I am all good with these consequences on my own, but I don't want to involve anyone else in my life and have them, throw a fit when there's a consequence. It's not a problem. There's no problem. This is just part of the price of doing this, of, having this partnership, having this marriage, having these kids, having whatever the heck it is, but it goes with the territory. All right. But not everybody sees it like that. They just want to sit back and, and pout or whatever. And then now I really have a problem, because I've got a consequence I have to deal with, and I have this rock on my back. Because now what they're doing is they're seeing me as ultra responsible, so they can dump their stuff on me too. All right.
Case in point, going back to the book, a little while ago you were talking about how your family growing up told you couldn't do that. You can't do that. You're stupid. You're ugly. They didn't expect you to do anything, because that's what they were setting you up for.
Right. Failure.
Okay. Setting you up for failure. And then all of a sudden you got away from the family. And no wonder they were so insulted. That's a good word. You insulted them so badly by accomplishing one thing after another.
Overcoming, challenges all through it. I mean, it was loaded with
You
consequences.
didn't know how to do any of those things.
No, but they just show up and you just do it. You get right through it. You figure it out, and you. There's no problem. Everything works out. When you really, really, really want something, there is no problem.
Yeah, it's all learning.
Mm-hmm. You're there.
It's like you didn't know how to do contracts, but that wasn't a problem.
No, I learned it.
You just did the first one.
Right. And then
the second one.
And met with the GCs and negotiated the deal and the whole thing. I never did any of that. I wasn't afraid of any of it. Okay. I just felt I knew what I was doing. I studied it. I understood what I was doing, and I understood the psychology of what I was walking into. All right. Because I had that early training as a kid in all this chaos that went on. So I didn't even have to think about it. I had that all together. That was one of the benefits of that lifestyle, that early childhood. All right. I just knew things. I just knew them, and I was connected, and I got the guidance, and I knew what to do. Mm-hmm. I mean, how could that be bad? And people always say, they go, I want that, Linda. I want to learn. I really want to have it. I want to learn this. There will still be consequences. I don't care what anyone says, because somebody's going to say something about you. Somebody's going to try to best you. There's always that stuff going on, because we're living in this world, right? You got to be okay with those consequences. Mm-hmm. It's just, we live in this world. Quit taking it personally, right?
Right.
Yeah. Don't take it personally, and it won't be a problem. We don't have any problems, you guys.
Okay, next observation. 16 years of being told you can't do that, you're stupid, not expecting you to do anything with your life, and then you get away from them and boom, 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 everything you touch turns to gold. Their thinking didn't change. Their thinking didn't change. When you read the book, they said, and they told you that. Your daughter told you that, your granddaughter told you, well, you don't deserve all that success. You don't deserve all that money.
Right.
So what gave them that idea? Programming from over the years.
Right. It started with my mom. It's interesting how that works. And it's so interesting how that works. They actually believe everything they were programmed to think.
Yes.
They to this day, they believe that I don't deserve anything. They believe I have no value. They believe everything that they were taught to believe. And can you imagine never questioning what you were taught? But I can't imagine it. See, if I could have imagined that in my own life, I would have been defeated long ago. I would have been the failure they set me up for. I really would have been.
Yep.
But that's what people can do or attempt to do. Because, you know, my mom, if I get down to the nitty gritty of this deal, that happened to her.
Yes.
I don't know what it was. I don't exactly, I kind of do. I wrote about it, what I do know about it in Guided. But she was devastated in some way. I mean, devastated. And the way that she took it on and decided to get even. I mean, I don't know why she decided that was the thing to do, but she was so angry. She didn't have enough going for herself to stretch and reach beyond it, you know. Mm-hmm. And she just was so angry. And so the whole family is the same way. She set that off like a bomb. And boy, they are so connected to it that there's no reaching them.
Still to this day.
Yeah, there's no reaching them. It's just, it's all about, here's how you know you're walking into a hotbed of this. It's all about them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. When you see that, it's all about them, whoever that is. Ooh.
I mean, they still believe your mother was a saint.
Well, only one of them.
One of them.
The sad thing is, this is probably their life contract to learn that lesson, and they haven't learned it. That's
okay, Kathy. What is that contract? Tell me what you see.
For them to learn to not, I guess, to not believe what other people say, but to figure it out on your own, and they haven't learned how to do that.
Why haven't they figured that out?
They haven't awakened enough. They're not at the vibrational level yet that they need to be to understand that.
Why would they pick someone like me to be in that family? We all picked each other.
Well, you all had a part to play.
Right.
Your part was to be the punching bag, so to speak.
Well, no, I don't see myself as the punching bag. I see myself as the disruptor. Actually, what happened, as soon as I got out of that family, just by the actions I took, by the way I lived my life, I wasn't trying to prove anything to anybody. I was just doing what I do, where I no longer had their foot on my throat, holding me down, you can't do it. You can't have it. You can't, I didn't have that on me anymore. Okay, so when that was no longer holding me down, and I just popped out of that whole thing, doing so well, amazingly well, it proved their theories wrong. I didn't know that for years and years later, all right? But that's what it turned out to be. By example, I proved their theories wrong. And then they really got mad at me.
Oh, yeah. And they're still mad.
Now, I didn't know that's all I was doing was living my life. I was just on. I didn't have anybody's foot on my throat. I didn't have anybody telling me there were problems and I couldn't do it and couldn't have it. And I didn't have anything holding me down. So once I didn't have that, and I had all that early training of what I learned from my guides about the situation I was in, I was so well prepared for life. It was unbelievable. That's what I didn't know.
Yes.
That's why it worked out so well. And they were the instigators of that.
Yes.
Now, they didn't intentionally set me up for that, you guys. It was far from it.
What is that phrase? You intended it to me for harm, but God intended it for me for good.
Yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't even know. I just couldn't. I was so grateful to be out of that situation, and gratitude carried me forward. It truly did. And I don't know. You come into this life to become a better person than you were before you got here, you know?
Right.
And that happened to work in my life. And we all get the opportunity to go that way. But your guides guide you that way. You know, my mother's guides guided her to go that way. But she was so interrupted by taking it personally, whatever it was, you know,
Yeah.
that she deliberately poisoned the family with programming that to this day, it's like she's still alive.
Yeah, it's like she's still watching.
It really is. It's hard to believe. I'll share something with you guys. It's been about a month now. My daughter finally discovered guiding.
Oh, really?
Yeah. She finally and her reaction to the book was that she took it totally personally and like it was all about her. Nothing about that.
You made up such horrible things about the family and about taking advantage of your mom who's dead and just to make a buck.
It's just
goodness.
It's a normal reaction when you're holding steadfast and true to something that was passed down to you, that you refuse to believe anything else. You don't want to. In fact, for them, it's satisfying it's fulfilling to have someone in the family as a target to destroy. That's sick.
Maybe they didn't read the part about where she tried to beat you to death when you were 20 months old.
Well, they don't hear what they don't want to hear. The programming takes care of that. So and it works. That the same thing happens in our own lives, not to that degree, okay, but little tiny itsy bitsies of it show up. And when we catch ourselves, you guys, we catch that. It's not you, man. It's not. It's programming that came from somewhere out there, all right? That because you had to get through a situation, or you were in first grade and you either complied or you got, you know, the punishment was overwhelming, and so you went there, you know? You went along with the pack or whatever, and it cost you that integrity. It cost you that. So you go back and you realize what it is. You write it in your journal, part 2. That's why you take that journey back. And you identify it and you go, I see what I did. And the most important thing, I see why I did it. I see the part of me that had a hold of me. I didn't know myself. I didn't trust myself. I didn't feel connected. I was scared, you know, and that caused me to do that one thing. That's been a price I've been paying ever since in my own secret place, in my shame. And it's got to come out. You got to get it down on paper so you can go, okay, I see this now. I understand what this is. I know why I'm like this, okay? And had I not had that in me, like I'll talk about myself in a minute, in me as a little kid, I needed that in me just to get through it, you know? But now that I'm older, I don't need to hold on like this anymore. It's okay. I can let that go, you know? So that's what this is all about. Those are the things that make the connection back to your guides, because when you're coming from all those feelings that are extraordinarily out of whack, all right, that control us, you lose your connection to your guides. That's too high a price. So we want to be reconnected. When we have this connection, we want to be more like our guides. They're solution-based. They're not problem-based. Yeah, every time something happens in our life, and Ray and I, we've been together for 14 years now. We've had some pretty, in instances where it was pretty challenging. And I've always known how to handle that stuff. Come on, let's go. Let's get this, all right? And there were times when Ray was going, okay, Linda, hold on. I haven't done this before. I haven't been down this one before. Okay, give me a heads up. I got to get what this is. And I let him know. Here it is. Here's your choices. Make all these notes on this one column, and make all these notes on this other column. And these are your choices. Which one do you want, Ray? And Ray would go, I'll take this one over here. I go, you and I, that's why we're together. That's why we're together, because I think the same way. That just makes sense. It isn't always the easiest choice.
Well, it's not the choice that was beaten into you as you were growing up. You have an obligation to do this.
It's not shame-based.
Yeah,
it's not a shame-based decision. It's
common sense.
It's a well thought out, laid out, pros and cons, reasoning that you throw around it and feel it. Okay, then you sleep on it and you talk with your guides and you just let it yourself feel what that is, and you'll be fine. It was never a problem. It was just finding the solution.
Well, yeah, they'll guide you to a solution. Your solution's here. This is where you want to be, and then they'll work backwards from that solution and say, well, if you want to be here by then, you have to do this now, and then you have to do this, then you have to do this, and that's what gets you there.
That's right, and it's the dots. It's connecting the dots in your life and keeping track of it in your journal. But some of these things, a lot of the things, I would say that this is probably the most challenging situation that could happen, is when you have to make a decision around what someone is going to think about you. Mm-hmm. What are they going to say? What are they going to think about me? Some people move away from their families so they can finally move into this without their judgment. That's what I've had so many coaching clients that said I had to move away from them because I couldn't connect with this until I got that judgment away from me. That I constantly had to deal with it. It interrupted me. I couldn't think straight. I couldn't even move into who it is I am. Who the heck is this? It wasn't something. They wanted you to stay the way you are because it was comfortable for them. All right. But then you didn't come here to live their life. And it's one of those things,
It gets back to they had an opinion and they didn't have any solution.
Or it could be a society's opinion of you.
Right.
Something you have to do where society's going to judge you for this. All right. It's not that it's against the law. It's not that it's wrong. It's that it's a judgmental thing, that everyone's been programmed to think if you had to do this, it's like a divorce. Okay, you got a divorce. Oh, you got a divorce. Ooh, and then
I was the first one in my family got a divorce.
Congratulations!
I know, and then I did it again. I had so much fun.
So he's playing. But the thing is you really got to get over it. When I went through my first, was it my first one? I've been divorced twice. Okay, let me just go there. Okay, hold on. The first one, it was the first divorce. See how I'm forgetting about this stuff? It's good. The divorce, when I went through the first one, I remember thinking, okay, because we were so well known, from the building industry. I said, how am I going to handle this? Because everybody knows us. Oh, my God, And it was my first marriage. My ego was up for grabs here. Oh, my ego, this is going to hurt. Okay, so what I did is I put the dirt out on the street first. I took the fun out of it. So there was no gossiping, nothing. Everybody was like, oh, they're getting divorced. Well, how'd you find out? Well, Linda told me. It wasn't as much fun.
Yeah.
It wasn't as juicy, you know. So there's something to say about, you know, that was gonna be the worst. Okay, that we were gonna get divorced and this would be out on the street. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of making it the worst, I took control of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you just have to put it in perspective. If you feel yourself doing that, you're taking it personally. If you feel yourself taking it personally, write it down. When you write it down, you can then look back at it tomorrow or a week from now and look at it and go, okay, now I got it. I see where I'm in the way of this and I'm worried about stupid things and I see what I need to do. It's clear what I need to do.
Great.
You know which one I like about divorces? The second one. Oh, you're a 2-time loser?
Yeah, see, that's right.
That's what they all think. Right?
No, they don't all think that.
Well, family does. Friends do. A lot of them won't even talk to you anymore after that second divorce.
That's their problem.
Ray was raised in a really traditional kind of way, you know.
Yeah.
I guess maybe I was raised around that kind of thing too, but I didn't learn very well.
No. We jumped right back into it. I was single for 2 weeks.
No, it's not that I jumped. You jumped right back into it.
You were single for 6 years.
I know.
I was single for 2 weeks. I was getting desperate. I'm going to propose.
You got lucky.
I'm going to propose to the next girl I see in the coffee shop.
Oh, right, Ray. Oh, my God.
Oh my God.
Crazy stuff. So you guys, what other questions do you have around the topic today, the insight about solutions versus problems? You see it, right?
I see it, yeah.
Absolutely.
We've been sold
And
a bill of goods.
Yeah, and changing our language and our thoughts more alignment to God's about solutions versus problems is really good. And I actually need to and want to write down more. I've still been a little sketchy on my journaling. So every time I hear you, I say, I'm going to do that. So, but I do believe that more now too.
Yeah, sense. You're connecting with it more, Veronica.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So, and it means so much. When you guys start to do this, you know what really, I've journaled my whole life, but until I wrote this book, when I was done writing this, actually, before I wrote this, I thought I had my life pretty figured out. Because I'm a conscious person. I pay attention. I had no choice in my life but to pay attention. Or I'd have been in a big problem. All right. So, but when I wrote Guided, oh my God, what came out, what I remembered and what went down on paper and the sequence, I mean, and how it really all tied back, you know, like 20 years ago, it all starts to tie together. And I started seeing all this. I was going, God, this is so deep. What can I say about it? And that's what brought the journal out, the companion journal to Guided. Mm-hmm. And it poured out of me. I had clients that were, when you get the book, it'll be out. We're hoping the first week of September, but when you get it talks about how I was being pushed and by people who really wanted to learn what I knew, all right, and how I learned to know this. Yeah. And it's just different. So it takes you there. If you walk through it, if you actually take the journey and you do it. The beauty of the book that's going to be published, the version that's published, is we've got the MP3s that go with it. So there's 19 MP3s. Makes it real easy to download on your device, listen to it wherever you are, driving, walking, whatever, you know. So it lets you listen to it a few times to reinforce it. And I have one of the MP3 tracks. There's only 18 chapters in part 2. So I have 19 MP3 tracks for the published book. And the reason I have 19 is the 19th MP3 is where it ties all 18 of the chapters together, just the beginning of them, where I talk about what happened at that time in your life before Ray starts interviewing me. So it ties it together. It's like telling your story, your story. So it hits you in a different way, from a different angle. So when you do sit down and actually listen to the individual MP3s for the 18 chapters, when you listen to the one it's your story, that's got them all tied together for just the beginning part, like 5 minutes long each one. It's about an hour long. It really, really sums up what this is all about, intending to connect with you in a whole way. So when you go back to do the work, it won't be so disjointed, is what I want to say. Okay?
Awesome. I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys, do we want the guides to bring through their closing message for today?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
but before I do that, right? Okay.
What's going on next week?
All right.
So you didn't think I was listening, did you?
You always listen, Ray. You do. Tuesday, next week, August 28th, watch or interact with us right here on Zoom. In Linda's Weekly Guided Insight is where you receive the link to join us, to talk to your guides, to us, and to the group, 6 p.m. Pacific and 9 p.m. Eastern. To be publicized next Tuesday morning in Linda's Weekly Guided Insights, the guides will be talking about bullies exposed. Everybody knows a bully or two. Nowadays, people of all ages get bullied all the time. It's a place for the insecure coward to get even. So who is it they want to get even with? When you were in school, there weren't as many types of bullies as there is today. But now bullies are out in full force. In school, you had the bigger kids, the tough kids. But nowadays, besides those types, you have cyber bullies.
I know. It's a good thing we didn't have cyber bullies when I was in school. We had just the regular kind of bullies. You could.
So when my daughter came back at me, she hit me with 2 messages on Facebook. That's how she decided to communicate her feelings about Guided with me. And when she did that, she went right back, just like a knee-jerk response, into her bullying tactics, just like she was programmed to do from my mom. So the bully is so sure about themselves, they don't even think of themselves as a bully.
Right.
In fact, they may look at you as the bully.
Right. They can't see their own faults because they're too busy blaming you.
They're projecting. Right. They're too busy blaming you. So that's what we're going to cover next week. It's bullies of all kinds. Bullies are everywhere, and they don't even know that they're doing it. So that's a really, what would we call that?
It's getting to be the norm.
That's what it is.
That's the sad part.
They see it as normal, so they don't have anything to fix because everybody's doing it on some level.
Everybody's doing it.
So there's nothing wrong.
Yeah. It's very bad.
Now that's scary, you guys. That's some scary stuff. When society gets to that point, it's called a breakdown. There's no way you can build on that. There's no way that a society can sustain with that type of thinking and behavior. There's no way.
Yeah.
So we're going to get into that. The guides are going to talk about it. And now the guides are going to close this session about today's insight, which was your guides focus on the solution, not the problem. And here they go.
Looking back, you see things that were different pieces of your life story, your life's puzzle. If you failed to write a piece of it down, here and there, one day you will finish the puzzle and be very upset that you lost a few pieces.
Mm-hmm. You know what that is at the end of our lives? That's called regrets. That's where you know that you didn't have enough time. You did have enough time. You didn't make enough time.
Right, right.
Okay. So we make excuses for ourselves as we move along that we have to get rid of. We have to stop making these excuses. And so we don't miss the life we intended to live when we came here.
Right.
Real quick, there was a little Facebook woman, her father was dying. He was like 80 or something. And at the end of his life, she had him with her when he died. And at the end of his life, he had no regrets. The guy was a good guy. He lived a full life. Nobody resented him for it. That right there is amazing. A person can live their life without family resenting you for it. That's unfortunate. Okay, that's bullying, you guys, is what that is. They don't have the guts to go out there and do it and take the risk it takes to do it, become the person it takes to become, to do it, but they resent you for doing it, all right? So this guy, he was dying, and she said right at the very end, when he was leaving, how did she describe that?
She described him as...
It was amazing.
He looked up, his eyes got real big, and he had this look of amazement on his face.
And boom.
And a big smile came across his face, and he died.
That's where it's at. Okay? And here's why I'm saying that's where it's... I've got chills all over me right now because I know this is so true, okay? When you leave this world, that finished, that complete, where you got it done when you were here, I just know how important this is. And you don't leave anything on the table, and you leave, and you got everyone taken care of before you left. No loose ends. Everything's done. Even your pets are taken care of. Everything has been thought out, all right? And everybody's in good hands. You didn't leave anything undone. When you leave the world like that, where you ascend to is the highest possible place you can imagine. That's why living your life and living the life you intended before you got here is so important. No matter what people think of you, no matter how they try to bully you, no matter what kind of problems they try to convince you that you have, all right? Do not let them do that, okay? Because you will be the one that you're not living their life. You didn't come here to live their life. They have their own problems to deal with on that regard, okay? You came here to live your life, and it's the only thing that matters, okay?
That's it.
Yeah. So it does matter. And when you can leave like that man did, oh, that's getting it right.
That's the way I want to go.
That's getting it right. I mean, you may not have to come back here. If you can leave
right on
that free, if you can leave that complete.
Yes. That's awesome.
That's where it's at. That's the whole universe we're looking at, you guys. Okay, my love.
Yep,
are we done?
You come back to another planet that's not run like this one.
Yeah, it's a little better man.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
Management.
You're welcome. And Veronica, as far as it doesn't look like it's going to come together this time. Okay, so we're going to I'm sorry. And we tried to figure out a way to do this so it could accommodate, I don't know. It wasn't
fewer people, and that didn't work out.
Because some people really want to do this, but not enough people stepped up. But
a lot of people said they
want to
do it this time, do it the next time.
They'll do it the next time. So we're going to present it again in the spring. And I'm going to say that we're going to present it again in the spring if we're available. I mean, we're getting a lot of different things coming at us. Things are going to change as we move through this, and we can't, we can't just you know, we don't know what's going to happen going forward, where we're going to be maybe doing something we're committed to that we can't fit it in, you know. But
we got like two days left to notify the hotel. They're holding it for 2 more days.
Oh, they are?
Yeah, they said they'd hold it for a week.
So we'll, in 2 days from now, by Thursday, Veronica, we'll either settle up with you or we'll be in. Okay. So I didn't know that.
Okay.
Okay, you guys. We'll see you guys on Thursday.
Thursday, that's the Universal Channel.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks
So
so
nice
much.
to be with both of you.
Thank
And
you.
all of our people on Facebook.
On Facebook, yeah.
Marla,
Marla,
Bridget,
who else?
Catherine.
Well, Kathy's with us.
That's another one.
Oh,
Other Kathy.
Catherine.
There's more than one Kathy.
There's more than our Kathy?